Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our City Manager, Rick Cole.
Thank you, Yesenia. We have a lot in common, she and I. I always remind her that all three of my children were born at a Kaiser hospital. So I have 3 Kaiser babies, and although they've grown up, they're still Kaiser customers. You saw in the video on our annual report the quality of people who work for the city of Santa Monica. Remarkable people. And I just want to take one moment, a moment of personal privilege, to thank 3 very special people without whom the last 6 months would have been very different. One is my Chief Operating Officer, the Assistant City Manager, and my predecessor as Acting City Manager, a person who has been my right hand and my support and my inspiration, Elaine Polachek. And someone who is no stranger to people in this audience, someone who is more than anyone else responsible for the city's partnership with the Chamber here tonight. Our Chief Communications Officer, our Director of Communications and Public Information, Debbie Lee. And those of us who hold important leadership roles know that there are many people who work behind the scenes to make us successful. And so I just want to recognize the wind beneath my wings, Sandra Santiago. She's in the back, typically way in the back. I'm going to hear about that tomorrow. I also want to thank the City Council, Mayor Vasquez, former Mayor McCune, and all the members of the City Council. It's a remarkable honor to be the City Manager of the City of Santa Monica. I think I'm only the 12th in the history of the city, and I take that responsibility very seriously. So sometimes we take success for granted, but we know we shouldn't. If you ask the question, what is the source of Santa Monica's current remarkable economic prosperity, the answer is clear. It's visionary leadership that goes back 4 decades, back to the days of Mayor Nat Travis, Mr. Santa Monica. So today, everyone knows that the 3rd Street Promenade is one of the most iconic destinations in Southern California. But that's because 30 years ago, the civic leaders took a risk. They made a bold investment in the deserted 3rd Street, a project that had failed twice. And they said, we're going to make it work this time, and they did. And those civic leaders were just as farsighted because they have continued to invest in our public infrastructure. Let me just cite one comparison. Last year, our neighbor, Los Angeles, filled 350,000 potholes in their streets. In Santa Monica, we could only find 472. And if you ask the question, why is Silicon Beach the epicenter of LA's booming tech economy, the answer is clear, because Santa Monica's visionary leaders were the first in Southern California to build a public broadband fiber network delivering high-speed internet to businesses and entrepreneurs. Santa Monica is now a launching pad for brand-name entrepreneurial startups. And Santa Monica is home to successful innovators like Uber and Hulu and TrueCar and Cornerstone On Demand and Activision. What has made Santa Monica a national model of community well-being? The evidence is clear. It's community and business leaders like all of you in this audience tonight, leaders who pursued ambitious and bold dreams that were ahead of their time. Mayor Vasquez has told you, the state of our city is extremely strong. Let me cite some compelling statistics and comparisons. On any given day, Santa Monica averages 30 million impressions worldwide on social media. That's generated by 203,000 tweets, 9,800 mentions on blogs, 6,700 posts on Facebook, 2,900 references in major news media outlets all over the world. And there are 88 cities here in Los Angeles County, and while Santa Monica is the 19th largest in terms of population, we are the 3rd largest in terms of the value of our real estate. The total value of Santa Monica real estate, according to the LA County Assessor, is $31 billion. That's up 7.3% from the year before. And Santa Monica's tourist industry continues to have the highest hotel occupancy rates among West Side cities. Last year, as you've heard, nearly 8 million visitors contributed almost $2 billion to the local economy. Our Santa Monica Pier is one of the top 10 most Instagram places on the planet and has been since 2012. Last year, in fact, we were number 8 on the list, and who was our competition? Disneyland, the Eiffel Tower, Times Square, and Red Square in Moscow. We were ahead of Lenin, I want you to know. You all know that we are a magnet for signature restaurants and retailers. But did you know that the Apple Store on the 3rd Street Promenade is the highest grossing Apple Store in California? In the state of California, there are 488 cities. So how many of those 488 cities have a AAA credit rating? Less than 10, and Santa Monica is one of them. By way of comparison, Santa Monica's general fund financial reserves are greater than the city of Los Angeles, which has a population 40 times larger than us. So how many library systems in California last year received the top ranking of 5 stars from Library Journal magazine? Just 2, and Santa Monica was one of them. In fact, it's our 3rd year in a row. And as you heard, last year, over 1.2 million people visited our library system, and the new Virginia Avenue Park Branch was named Project of the Year by the United States Green Building Council. Now, you may know that fire departments across the nation are rated by the insurance industry. How many California cities have a Class 1 rating? Less than a dozen, and Santa Monica is one of them. I could continue for some time to list Santa Monica's awards, our distinctions, and the superlatives that describe us, but let me just give you one more example of Santa Monica's continuing innovative leadership. You know, the United States Census Bureau has a ranking of the top cities in the nation for the transparency and comprehensiveness of their public data on their open data portals. The top 3 ranked cities are Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago. Santa Monica is 9th in the nation. The next smallest city in the top 10 is 5 times our size. By all these measures, the state of our city is extremely strong. But as I said at the beginning, we should never take success for granted. If you ask what is the key to maintaining and improving our exceptional quality of life here in Santa Monica, it is this. In a time of disruption, it continues to be, we need visionary leadership that is not afraid of innovation. In today's changing world, the greatest risk is not to take any risk at all. As tempting as it is to want to stand still, we cannot maintain success by sitting on our assets. Nowhere is that more true than in the public sector. The city of Santa Monica continues to be a leader. Our city was the first in the region to launch a public-private partnership that put 500 bikes out on our streets. Breeze Bike Share, presented by Hulu, has garnered over 5,000 paid participants in just the first 2 months of operation. And our city-run farmers markets have recently expanded to welcome 20,000 visitors a week, generating nearly $15 million in annual revenue. And our Big Blue buses, as you heard, carried 18 million passengers last year, and all of them run on natural, clean-burning natural gas. But we have a long ways to go. Because when you enter the lobby at City Hall, you still see people sitting on benches waiting their turn to process building permits. Here we are, the epicenter of Silicon Beach, and our city website sucks. Last year, our fire department responded to more than 3,000 homeless distress calls. Unfortunately, there was nothing much we could do on 2,500 of them. Our firefighter paramedics are well trained. They're well equipped. But our fire trucks don't carry on them anything for mental illness, or for drug and alcohol addiction, or for chronic diseases like diabetes and emphysema. Of course, shortcomings like these can be fixed, and we intend to fix them. But the chronic problem with government today requires more than improving our performance where our performance lags. We're a lot like a lot of businesses. Our chronic problem, the chronic problem of government, is that government thinks we're in the business of doing the business that we are doing. Well, what is the business of city government? If you ask well-informed people, they'll say, well, government is the police and the fire department, libraries, parks, they fix the streets. Sophisticated audiences like this one will also note that we do land use planning and enforce the building codes. Here in Santa Monica, the government runs an airport, a cemetery, a pier, a water treatment plant, and the world's first urban stormwater runoff treatment plant. In fact, we also have the only city-owned mortuary in America. I had the opportunity to meet a couple of our customers the other day. But since they were in the refrigerator, I passed. Because we're responsible for delivering these services, it's easy to fall into the circular logic that the business of cities is to provide the services that cities provide. But look what's happened to other businesses. When you don't really understand what business you're in trouble. Music executives used to think that their business was selling albums to people in stores. Back in 2000, they sold 785 million albums. Last year, they sold 115 million albums, and almost all of them were Adele. Newspaper publishers thought they were in the business of delivering the news on paper. That's why they call us newspapers. That's why the Santa Monica Outlook is no more, and that's why the Los Angeles Times seems to get thinner every day. And the post office still thinks they're in the business of delivering mail, which is why the post office lost $5 billion last year. Disruption comes from people who think that they're in the business of doing what they've always been doing. That's what makes you vulnerable. If you're not looking ahead to what you should be doing instead of what you used to be doing, you are a target of disruption. Our problem is not that we're not doing a good job of what we're doing. The city of Santa Monica is doing an extraordinary job of providing high-quality city services. But the LA Times was a great newspaper, too. They didn't realize the world was changing. At least they didn't realize it soon enough. For cities, our competition is not Culver City or Beverly Hills or Los Angeles. It's not even Tokyo, Berlin, or London. Our competition is Google, Amazon, and the tech companies that are delivering remarkable new services. We're not competing with Google search engines. We're not competing with Amazon's book sales. We're not competing with Apple Watches. But government is competing with them on responsiveness and customer services, and government is losing. According to a recent study by Pew Research Center, only 19% of Americans trust their government. Only 20% would describe government programs as well run. Only 1 in 10 Americans approve of Congress. And 46% of Californians think our state is going in the wrong direction. Now, it's true that local government is still held in higher regard. According to Governing Magazine, 72% of Americans said they trusted their local government a good deal, or at least a fair amount. But that is no cause for complacency, because especially here in Santa Monica, there is a higher standard that we're being held to. You know, I'm new here, and so I've actually had these conversations. I talk to people, and they tell me, I love those libraries. I take my kids there, my grandkids to the story hour. I love your firefighters. One of them stopped by and fixed my neighbor's leaky faucet. It's amazing. I love your police. They're there in a minute. They're so professional. You've got great parks. I wish we had more of them, but they're great. I say, oh, that's fabulous. What do you think of the city? Oh, I hate the city. Well, what they mean is they hate traffic, and they hate development, and they hate nosebleed housing prices, and some of them, frankly, hate change. Not every resident is mad, of course, probably not even most of them. Most people realize we have it pretty good. But if we don't address these issues and the growing loss of public trust in public institutions, no matter how great our credit rating is, no matter how many awards we win, no matter how high quality our services are compared to other city governments, we will find ourselves in the same boat as the post office. We have to innovate. I know we can do better. Santa Monica can be the best run, most innovative city government in America. We can be a model for the nation. But here's the deal. Government cannot do this alone. We need the help of everyone here in this room. We need the help of residents and business people alike. For those of you who are in business, I know what probably a lot of you are thinking. Well, look, that's great, but I've got a business to run. And you do. And I know in today's world, you face the same pressures that we do for change. The relentless need to innovate, to cut costs, to improve services, to increase revenue. We're all in the same boat. We all face those same pressures. The 9,204 businesses that call Santa Monica home, you employ 78,220 people. You are as much a part of the community as the 92,787 residents who live here. In fact, many of those who work here and own businesses here also live here. And many of the people who own businesses and work here would love to live here as well. Our community cannot take yesterday's success for granted any more than you can. If we want to ensure that 40 years from now, the state of our city is as strong or stronger than it is today, it will take a strong public-private partnership. And if the state of our city is extremely strong, so is the collaboration between the City of Santa Monica and the Chamber of Commerce, which is headed by two remarkable leaders, Julia Ladd and Laurel Rosen. You know, the buy local partnership, which you heard about between the city and the chamber, it connects prosperity with sustainability. And our Hack the Beach event, which we're going to hear more about, is incubating half a dozen new businesses. Not just the winner, but everyone who participated is now off to the races to see if they can create new businesses and hire new people and create new business models. And that's what we have to keep in mind. We cannot rest here. Our job is not done. It will take a broad partnership of all of our residents and our businesses and our civic organizations and our community groups. All of us are going to have to work together in a collaborative spirit as we try to work with the business community together. It takes us all to create the success that we need to keep a good thing going. And to focus on sustaining our success in the years ahead, you heard about our City Council identifying 5 strategic goals. We're focusing on these because they're game changers. They're transformative, long-term priorities to ensure that Santa Monica continues to thrive in the decades ahead. You heard Mayor Vasquez talk about them. First, we're welcoming a $1.5 billion investment in the completion of the Expo line, and we're leveraging it to forge a new model of mobility here in Santa Monica. And that means we are embracing relentless innovation to expand the choices for how you get around, whether it's by train, by bus, by car share, by bike, on foot, on skateboard, what have you. We're making all of these choices safer, cheaper, faster, and more comfortable. And we're doing this through the evolution of Blue, which is revamping our Big Blue bus system. We're expanding, as you've heard, bike share. We're embracing car sharing. We're freeing taxis to compete. We're promoting new technologies and new models so that Santa Monica becomes a beacon for the traffic-choked LA region and beyond. The Council's next strategic goal is local control of our airport. It was innovative to build an airfield for biplanes, but that was 100 years ago. It makes no sense for corporate jets to be taking off 300 feet from the rooftops of our residents. Santa Monica voters have spoken, and we will assert local control, and we will reuse those buildings and hangars for creative business uses, and we'll generate the revenue we need to build a great park, the great park that a great community deserves. The City Council's third goal is affordability. As tough as it will be to absorb the new minimum wage standards, it was the right thing to do. America has always been most prosperous when that prosperity has been broadly shared. We all know it in our own lives. When America extends the ladder, people climb it. And that's why we have a new city minimum wage. And we'll have to find new ways to tackle the cost of housing. 40% of the multifamily housing built over the last 20 years here in Santa Monica has been affordable housing for low and moderate income residents. But now, even the middle class is in danger of being priced out of Santa Monica. So we need to address those nosebleed housing prices. We need to be just as innovative in how we find it possible for people to afford to live here as we pursue ways to get around. The fourth City Council priority is to provide leadership on the regional crisis of homelessness. Santa Monica's partnership with nonprofit community organizations, which was on display last night. How many were there last night to volunteer to help count the homeless? Let's give them applause. We've been a model for helping hundreds of people inside our borders find jobs, and we've placed them in permanent supportive housing, and we've helped them get treatment for their health and substance abuse problems. But the problem beyond our borders will swamp our best efforts unless we forge a more effective partnership with the City of LA and the County of LA to confront the challenge and crisis of nearly 50,000 homeless people across the county. The final City Council strategic goal is the broadest one of all. It is to make Santa Monica a model of a community where our citizens learn and thrive. Because the business of city government is not just to deliver the services we've always delivered. The business of city government ultimately is to contribute to the well-being of our community. And that means in a changing world, rethinking not only how we deliver government services, but what services we deliver and who actually delivers them. Take our library, for example. It's still about learning, but it's not just about book learning. Library Director Maria Carpenter is one of today's visionary leaders, and she's just led a far-reaching strategic planning effort that coincided with our library's 125th anniversary. We have a glorious past, but we've got to build a glorious future. Some of you in this room served on the Tech Advisory Council that helped forge the strategy for our libraries to embrace enhanced digital learning. It's an example of how we can work together, public, private, and community forces, to reinvent government to work in the 21st century so that we meet tomorrow's needs as well as we meet today's. So let me close. Mayor Vasquez told you, the state of the city is extremely strong. And in the year ahead, as he said, we will get stuff done. But I hope I have made the case that we can't take our long-term success for granted. Just as today's success was produced by the courageous and visionary leadership of yesterday, tomorrow's success can only be produced by your courageous and visionary leadership today. That's not just a job for city government. It is a job for all of us. Every one of us in this room, residents, business people, and city staff. Let's work together to ensure that Santa Monica continues to live up to the motto on our city seal, a fortunate people in a fortunate city. It's our city. It's our challenge. It's our opportunity. And now it's our time. Thank you very much.